It's funny you bring up the Horner comparison because my mind went right to there and went right to a podcast where you had a really good take on why you felt like Nico Horner was not the right player for the Red Sox. And my first thought was, I'm going to set Sean up on this one. Caleb Durbin is Nico Horner in the trade something. I'm trying to think of like a good show. It's a nice show to go with it. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're the same person. Caleb Durbin is Nico Horner in 2026.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to that was terrible. The point I'm trying to make is the setup that you
I get what
talked
you're
about with
saying.
Nico Horner. I'm like, they basically got Nico Horner with more control. And again, I really like Caleb Durbin as a player. I think he's going to be a pain in the ass to the Yankees. He's going to win some games with the Yankees, and Yankee fans are going to hate Caleb Durbin also because he was a former Yankee farmhand.
60-40, a Red Sox podcast. Big John and Sean, hot takes, special guests. It's a 60-40. Hey.
Finally, we have come back to the studio. We are the most electrifying podcast in Red Sox Nation. I am your co-host, Big John. Alongside of me is Sean O'Mac Jones, and together we are 64 Deep, a Red Sox podcast. Sean, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I know we just talked a little bit off air, recovering from the stinker of a football game that I watched last night, but the bright side is that we are even more so into baseball season. So excited to talk through some actual transactions that went down.
Yeah, so since college, I'm 41. We're talking about 20 years about. I have a tradition with one of my friends. As soon as the Super Bowl is over, I call him and say, it's baseball season. And that's what I did last night. I call him up. I go, and he's in the West Coast. So I go, Dan, it's baseball season. He's ready for it every year. It's a tradition. I know Carabas posted about it. I'm much older than Carabas. I'm like, that's not your tradition, buddy. That's mine. And I've been doing it since you were in diapers. So called him up, wished him, told him it's baseball season. You know, I went Pats last night where I was wearing a Pats hoodie and this Dunkin' Donuts hat. I felt like I was just from Boston. I was walking around telling everyone I was from Boston.
That's funny. It's funny you have that tradition because I have something slightly similar, not Super Bowl related, but I have two buddies from college that really since like our freshman year, like they're not even as big of baseball junkies as I am, for example. But every opening day, we have a group chat that's just us saying Happy Opening Day. And if you look at the group chat, it's literally just year after year being like Happy Opening Day,
great.
fellas.
That is. Look, that's just men being men and doing men things with men traditions. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I'll do it again this year.
So it's very funny. I have a made up day. I believe I gotta look. It's Wade Boggs' birthday. It's like June 15th or whatever it is. I just call it Wade Boggs Day. And I just text like 4 people and say Happy Wade Boggs Day. I'm the only one who partakes in Wade Boggs Day. And I am the only chat text message in that text message. But I feel like if I didn't text them Happy Wade Boggs Day, despite what they, whether they respond back to me, I feel like they would think something's wrong or something was missing in their lives, right? There's that comfortability of me doing that. I think they enjoy.
Yeah.
So similar, we got our traditions. I'm sure a lot of people out there do the same thing. But Sean, it's 2 minutes into our podcast about we need to do what we do every podcast and drink some beers.
Drinking beers, we drink some beers, Big John and Sean. We're drinking beers, we drink some beers,
All right, Sean, unlike last time, I'm pouring my beer nice and slow. I am getting the perfect pour, and we're not going to get... Actually, that's a decent amount ahead. I feel like, hold on, let me show you. I won the challenge.
All right.
What do you think?
Not bad.
I can pass.
I know towards the
Passable.
top it gets difficult because you got to actually turn it back regular, or else it's going to spill. So,
yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's much different color. That's piss-colored beer. It looks like I took a urine sample right there. Sean, what beer do you have tonight?
I cheated. I have a repeat today. One that I did. I want to say this is episode 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know exactly. But I had one left, and I didn't have time to run the store day. So we got Nothing Gold, Bissell Brothers, the main beer. that I had, a couple episodes before that they do distribute a little bit down here. But again, this is one that I had not had this specific one before, but have had Bissell Brothers because I've got family up in Maine and they bring it down for our biannual beach trip that we do every other year. So when I saw it, I had to snag it because I know that they make some good beer. So
What's the untapped score on it?
good question. I'll look
Come
it up.
on,
real
Sean.
quick.
You're the one that taught me about
I didn't have it ready.
making
I
sure
know
using
I
Untappd.
know it's above 4. I'll say that. Here we go.
That's-
Nothing gold. 4.31. That is very high.
That's a good score.
Yeah, it is.
I was in the liquor store the other day with my Untappd app, like you told me to. I'm in the
Yeah.
Connecticut microbrews. 2 things to know about Connecticut. Connecticut microbrews are terrible. They don't have very high scores. I guess the second part isn't really about Connecticut microbrews. Second part was I was there for so long. I'm pretty sure the guy was turning off the lights like he wanted to leave because I had a really hard time finding a good beer. Everything on the shelf was a 3.8. I did pick up though, and this one I know is a good beer, and I think it might be at a 4. So for it to focus in, this is called Back East. It's a premium lager. So Back East, it's another one brewed in Bloomfield, Connecticut, but this is considered one of Connecticut's better beers. A lot of beers in Connecticut, microbreweries have shuttered. They just haven't done very well the past couple years. A lot of people thought it was going to eventually happen with the microbrew boom ending. There's been smart places like Two Roads. For anyone in the New England that knows about Two Roads, which is brewed in Connecticut, they went ahead and expanded their facility, and they'll brew for big brewers. So sometimes they'll brew your Sip of Sunshine. They've done a good job, but a lot of them have shuttered down. Back East makes some really good beers. I've never had the premium lager. It's funny, the guy that wanted to kick me out of the store might be a little bit on the spectrum, but I really like him. And I asked him for his opinion. He knows everything about beer. And he goes, that's beer. That's the beer. It tastes like beer. And I'm like, well, that's me. I'm the guy that likes beer that tastes like beer. So I'm hoping this tastes like an upscale Coors maybe, or an upscale.
Yeah.
I can't even drink Bud Light anymore. I used to when I was in college. I can't even do it. Let's say do it.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had. Well, I have shitty beer every once in a while, but it's got to be a specific occasion. I'll say that. Certainly
No,
not
this is
just
great.
casually getting it. That's good.
Yeah, actually, I'm giving this one the Big John approval. This is phenomenal for beer. Like I could put this on tap. I could have
Nice.
like Yingling and this on tap, and I'd be happy with it.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Actually, that's what I have on tap outside my bar. I have Yingling. That's one of my go-tos for on tap beer. It's just
nice.
a good on tap beer, right? It's a good beer that's
for sure.
It's like a head level up than like a Bud Light or your Coors, but not too expensive where you're, I don't know, some ridiculous beer you have on tap that I could never get through in the summer. It just would go bad. But that is me. All right, Sean, we were scheduled to go live tonight anyways. And just like last pod, some trades happened.
Yeah,
And
we've been timing
today-
it just beautifully.
I know. Again, I had stuff for us to talk about. I'm like, are we going to talk about Isaac Paredes again? Let's revisit
For
that
like the
one
third pod
again.
in a row.
Ketel Marte came back up again. I'm like, maybe we can jump into that. Again, we're not going to have much to talk about Ketel Marte. No, a trade happened. And a fairly interesting trade because we've been talking about it for a few pods about there's just too much pitching here. We've had conversations going down we've done it ourselves, right? We've gone down the pitching rotation and trying to make points. Who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? And finally, Kyle Harrison's not going to be there no more. Kyle Harrison's got a new place to go. So the Red Sox have shipped off Kyle Harrison to the Milwaukee Brewers, and we get back Caleb Durbin. That's the crux of the big part of this trade. Along with that, right, it's also Andrew Monasterio we get back from the Brewers, Anthony Siegler, who is a catcher/utility player that makes a 14th catcher Craig Breslow has signed or trade for in this offseason, which is crazy, or a 14th player that has catcher eligibility, and then a compensation balance round B pick, 67th overall. We gave up Kyle Harrison, which we'll talk about, part of the Rafael Devers trade. David Hamilton, outside of Lou Merloni, I'm not sure anyone's really a David Hamilton apologist, and Shane Drohan, who I've been saying all day, nobody messes with the Drohan. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that movie. Nobody messes with the Drohan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Of course.
A terrible movie, but nobody messes with the Drohan. Your first reactions to all that, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, on the Harrison piece, I kind of always felt like he was the odd man out in terms of just guys that had the least likelihood of sticking around because I think the team clearly has more interest in investing in early and Tolley in terms of like the young, actual, maybe prospect level pitchers that we have. But then guys like Cutter Crawford and Sandoval, et cetera, like those guys just have probably less value out on the market just because they're older. We kind of know what they are. Like there's at least sort of the unknown of the black box of what Kyle Harrison could be if you actually pitched him for 150 plus innings in a season. So that part wasn't surprising to me. And I will say this, like in terms of the return, I'm not losing sleep really at all about what the Sox gave up because I like I said, I just think Harrison was not going to be in this rotation. And I was worried they were even going to have to push him into a bullpen role, which by the way, could have been a good role for him. We do need a lefty in the pen. So that's maybe the most upsetting part of it to me was maybe like it would have been cool to maybe see him in that role. Obviously, who knows how it would have translated. But yeah, I mean, David Hamilton, I've not losing sleep over losing him would be an understatement for me to say because he just isn't very good. He's not a very good fielder, doesn't have for any power. He's super fast, obviously, but I don't know what he's bringing to the table that someone like Sogard couldn't bring to the table who, here, go ahead.
Yeah, I want you to finish that thought. I just want to hammer on the David Hamilton one because you said he's super fast. He is super fast. We have the numbers to prove it. But despite him being super fast, he's a terrible base runner. So
yeah,
right,
that's fair.
So last year we saw a major regression with him: 22 stolen bases, but 6 caught stealings, which is awful. I mean, absolutely awful. 4 pickoffs and 2 thrown out at third. He became sloppy and reckless. David Hamilton, despite having 94th percentile sprint speed at 29.4 feet per second, is not a good base runner, and he's proof that you can be an absolute stud with the speed and still not be able to consistently steal bases. So, but keep with your point.
Yeah, and I just in terms of just Durbin, like the answer I'm going to give for if I'm happy we got him is kind of similar to almost every transaction that the Sox have made this offseason of like, did this trade make the Red Sox better? Yes. Is this a good value trade overall? Yes. Like, are the Red Sox a better team because they have him on the roster, and is there more certainty around the lineup and the infield, et cetera? Yes to all of that. And I'll get into a little bit more about like obviously what I like about him. But if you had told me this was going to be the big infield addition, then it's obviously disappointing. I know he's young and he was top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting last season. But I think this is the type of addition that if we had kept Bregman and then added Durbin, we would have been ecstatic about. Like imagine then we add him to play second base. Who knows what that would have meant for Marcelo, but, we would deal with that when we got there. I don't know if they necessarily would have made this deal if they had Bregman, but I'm just saying, like, when we've talked about guys like Nico Horner, for example, I've been very anti-trading for him because I felt like that's the kind of move that you would make if you were keeping him Bregman. And he's sort of the luxury last piece to the puzzle, not the replacement for Bregman. And I feel a little bit the same about Durbin. I actually think him and Herner have pretty similar profiles overall as players, and we can talk about that a little bit. But overall, like, again, am I glad that they have him, and am I upset about the return? Like, I think overall it's a good deal. It still just is going to continue to be disappointing that their big addition was a 5'7" guy that had a 4th percentile exit velocity and a 4th percentile hard hit percentage, when we heard for months from Craig about how power was an absolute necessity for this group.
It's funny you bring up the Horner comparison because my mind went right to there and went right to a podcast where you had a really good take on why you felt like Nico Horner was not the right player for the Red Sox. And my first thought was, I'm going to set Sean up on this one. Caleb Durbin is Nico Horner in the trade something. I'm trying to think of like a good show. It's a nice show to go with it. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're the same person. Caleb Durbin is Nico Horner in 2026.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to that was terrible. The point I'm trying to make is the setup that you talked about with Nico Horner. I'm like, they basically got Nico Horner with more control. And again, I really like Caleb Durbin as a player. I think he's going to be a pain in the ass to the Yankees. He's going to win some games with the Yankees, and Yankee fans are going to hate Caleb Durbin also because he was a former Yankee farmhand.
Oh, yeah.
But this team, the way that Craig has gone ahead and assembled this team, and the weaknesses we have on this team, as much as I love him and I'm going to love him as a player, and maybe I love him as a player and start hating other guys on the team. Maybe that's what ends up happening, right? Maybe it's because like keep Durbin, but we should be looking to move maybe Marcelo Meyer. God forbid I say it, Ceddanne Rafaela, right? Not that they're bad players, but because maybe they don't fit the makeup of the team because we're missing that power element. Sean, I go back to that Nico Horner rant that you had again, and translate it for Caleb Durbin. Why don't you like Durbin for this team, or why don't you like Nico Horner on this team? What is your issue with it?
Well, I'll say this. I like Durbin more than Horner for a lot of the reasons you outlined, because Horner, again, is sort of peak value. You know, he had this 5-6, almost, I don't even know what it was, close to 7 WAR season last year. So it's one of those, like, we're buying absolute at the highest cost, and he's a rental, which, again, with the rental piece, it's like either A, they've got to pay him, which do I want to pay a guy who can't hit 10 home runs, 20 plus 25 whatever $1 million he's going to get per year? Probably not. But if they don't re-sign him, then it's another, you know, sort of Bregman scenario where we're losing assets and investing in a guy that was just there for 1 year. And it's kind of like, I don't know what they would have had to give up for Horner, but I imagine it was going to be more than Durbin just because he's more of a proven commodity. So on that front, like, I think Durbin is a cheaper, more controlled, slightly less proven Horner. I mean, obviously the batting average wasn't where Horner's has been over the past few years, but similar profiles, like I mentioned, in terms of just like good contact guys, don't swing and miss a lot, not a lot of strikeouts. So that's going to help them. The Sox, obviously, that's something that they need and has been an issue, but no power at all. And so just back to your original question about why I was so anti is like it's the profile of a player that sort of already has the centerpieces of a deal and just needs some really good complementary bats and players to kind of fill out the roster. I
just trying to bring that up there. So
no,
you
you're
see
good.
it.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. But like I bring up the Yankees as an example. Like if they had a guy like this, like that's exactly what they need. They've got the power. They've got the thump. They've got the big names. We don't have the power. We don't have the thump. We don't have the big names right now. We have a lot of unproven guys, a lot of guys that are kind of in the same ilk as Durbin that, like, you know, are good players and can contribute to a team, but no pitcher is watching him go up to the plate and is, you know, worried about what's going to happen. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He is a good player. And I think that he's got an opportunity to, you know, play even better in Boston next year. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of just the things this team has been preaching, like, we don't have the luxury of these known commodity guys that are going to drive in 100 runs and have a 850 to 900 plus OPS or something like that. That's what we needed, not the complementary pieces, because we have a team full of complementary pieces right now.
We do. And some people in my comments today were trying to compare Caleb Durbin to Dustin Pedroia, because statue, and the way he kind of violently swings his bat as well. They're not I mean, we're seeing a home run right there. They're not the same. You go back to that first clip I pulled up. It's still a good hit. It's a line drive left field. I believe Durbin actually suffers from the same disease that Isiah Kiner-Falefa has as well. I don't think he's ever hit a home run to right field either. But again, much smaller sample set. We're gonna love him. We're gonna love Durbin on this team. The same way I know people are going to slit my throat for this one. The same way that we will love a full year of Yoshida, because and we can bring up their numbers. They're very similar type of players in terms of what they bring to an organization. Difference being Durbin's a really good defensive third baseman. Yoshida's not a good defensive outfielder, but Yoshida has a little more power. But again, it's really good bat to ball contact on them. I mean, and so where Durbin fits on this roster, I don't know. Like, I don't know where they end up batting him in the lineup. Is he going to be a spark plug 100%? Is he going to be a guy you want to have in the playoffs? Sure. Absolutely. A defensive wizardry, yes. Sean, you never met me in real life. I'm 5'7". I love guys that are 5'7". That's why I have a soft spot for Jose Altuve. That's why I love Dustin
I was going to
Pedroia.
say, you know, his swing and pull tendencies and even the stance a little bit reminds me more of Altuve than it does of Pedroia, to be honest with you. Like, Pedroia was more of a, like, he loved hitting it to right field, and of course Altuve can hit to all fields, but when Altuve's at his best, he's ripping it over the left field for a homer. You know, like he does have that pull power, which, you know, Durbin doesn't quite, he hasn't displayed that level of power yet, but early in Altuve's career, he also had not displayed that kind of power, and he's even shorter than Durbin. I think he's 5'5" or something, right?
Yeah,
So
that's why I have a soft spot for him.
yeah, it's not like totally out of the question that he could develop power just because of the size alone, but obviously the profile and the advanced numbers don't, you know, indicate that it's likely to come. But who knows? He's only played 1 year in the majors, so
Yeah, but his exit velocity, 85.2 miles per hour. It's very low. It's his average exit
yeah,
velocity.
it
His
is.
bat speed, 68.2 miles per hour. Despite watching him absolutely just swing the bat right there, not very, not the best. But like we said, we love about him is that low strikeout percentage, which this team needs. 100%, this team needs that. We saw that so many times last year. We talked about it, and like I said, we both agree on it. Great addition for the Yankees. I would say Yoshida and Durbin in a lineup could be absolutely nightmare if you surround them with a Pete Alonso and a Bo Bichette, etc. But we have
100%.
nothing. We have nothing to surround them with. It's like having an Oreo and all we have is the cream. And where the hell is my chocolate, whatever the hell it's called, chocolate cover cookie to cover them and complete the lineup? We're missing that. That's the part that I want so bad.
Yeah.
And we're so close. That's my problem.
Yeah, and it's like I want to like Durbin, and to your point, I think we probably will end up liking him, and he'll be a useful player and a fan favorite, if not just because the height alone. And he's been gotten all the like gritty labels and whatnot to this point in his career, but it's just like frustrating because like I'm gonna be forced to be disappointed by the addition because of the lack of other additions they've made. It's not Durbin's fault. Like I think he's gonna be a good player. And it's just to your point, like if the Dodgers trade for him, great addition. Yankees trade for him, great addition. Like even a team like the Mariners, like I brought them up, like they're not some juggernaut offense, but they have Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. Like those are two centerpiece middle of the lineup bats. Like we just don't have that. Like Roman Anthony obviously could turn into that, but the guy doesn't even have 10 career home runs to this point in his major league career. And who's the other guy? It's a lot of like, we hope this guy takes a leap here. We hope this guy has a breakout season. We hope Contreras at age 34 hits 25 home runs for the first time in his whole career. Like it's a lot of things that we're relying on that are not sure things. And it's just hard to have a ton of confidence in the offense, even with an addition like this, even though he probably is a good player that's going to contribute to the team.
Yeah, over his last 100 bats from June 4th onward, he hit 320 with an 840 OPS and 144 weighted runs created. His rolling weighted on base average increased by 0.085 points during the stretch. And that's going to get us very much excited about him. So we'll see. And again, he is very good defensively. I'm trying to do a gigantic fantasy baseball league this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger Suarez might have the best year that he's had of his career because the Red Sox have done a great job putting together unlike last year, should be on paper, very defensively sound infield and outfield. With Story at short, Marcelo at second, Durbin can play second too. Be interesting to see what they actually do, but we'll say Mayers at second. We've got Durbin at third and Contreras at first, and then a solid outfield of we already know Will Abreu and Cedon are both Gold Glove, and then Roman Anthony. So, but Suarez being more of a ground ball pitcher, he should have all the defensive fortitude he needs to have a career year, especially coming from Philadelphia where they had a terrible infield on top of it. So that's a positive, right?
Yeah, of course. To your point, the Phillies certainly did not prioritize defense over the last few seasons. I'll say that. I mean, Trey Turner's decent at short, but outside of that, the rest was a little rough at times. I'll say that, even in the outfield too. So
my other issue with the NL Rookie of the Year that you brought up, though, and other people have brought this up as well, that means nothing to me. Kind of like Shador making the Pro Bowl because he finished third.
That was a joke.
I know he finished third in the NL, but the NL was really weak. If you took Durbin and brought him into the AL, I gotta do it, Sean. He finishes 6-7. That's legit. That's legit where he finishes too, because he does. Because the top three guys being Kurtz, Roman, Jacob Wilson, they're all better than Drake Baldwin. So you're gonna immediately slot Drake Baldwin underneath Roman Anthony for 4. So 4, 5, 6, and you can make the point. Maybe a couple other guys in the American League might have been even better than in between Drake and Caleb. So, and again, there's been guys that have won the Rookie of the Year. Bob Hamlin, Marty Cordova, who actually played for the Red Sox. I think they both played for the Red Sox at one point. They were terrible. Other guys as well that just because they won the award does not mean they're anything special. So that part's got to be taken out. Let's look at his numbers, look at the players,
Yeah.
let's look at
No,
the
of
fit.
course. Yeah. One
Right.
thing that does make me feel a little bit better is I saw some people on Twitter, some Yankees fans, Talking Yankees, I don't know, or Talking Yanks or whatever. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, 100%. I
podcast.
troll them
Yeah.
all the time.
One of them posted like a reaction video to this, and he was kind of pissed about it. He was because Durbin used to be Yankees prospect. He's the one who went
Correct.
out in the Devin Williams trade, so he was kind of like excited for Durbin when he was in the Yankees org, and then was kind of at terms with the fact that they were trading him for Devin Williams because he was supposed to be the best closer in the game, but then Devin Williams was awful for the Yankees, so then he was kind of like, damn it, we'll give up this guy. And he was kind of just like, he's just probably going to be good for the Red Sox, and I'm pissed that they have him. And so that's the kind of thing that I do like to see when like when our rival is pissed at a certain transaction, it normally bodes well for us. So I know that we're pretty Debbie Downer in terms of the lineup right now. But again, it's like we are getting a guy who's probably a good player, but it's just like so hard to we talked about this a bunch, but like viewing a trade in a vacuum versus the context of the whole offseason, my reaction is completely different to both. And so it's just kind of trying to balance okay, let's look at this trade just through the actual players that were given back and forth and if the player's good versus what we were promised and what we actually got.
Well, let's do that. Well, let's do that because that's been my argument about it as well. And you also, again, Sean, had a great rant. You nailed it perfectly when we talked about the Rafael Devers trade because this is the last piece of the Rafael Devers outside of Jose Bayo.
Jose Bayo.
Help me, Jose Bayo.
Future Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah, help me, Jose Bayo. You're our only hope. So outside of Jose Bayo, this is the last guy to go. And Sean, you did a great job talking about the return for Rafael Devers. You want to top of your head? You want to tell me what we got for Rafael Devers now?
I don't know if I want to. Okay. Durbin. Honestly, remind me of the two infielders we got as well. Hold on. I didn't look too much into them because they seem like more just utility guys, honestly.
Yeah, they are.
Monasterio,
who might
and
make as a
Siegler.
bench player, and Siegler's more of just a depth position player in the minors.
Yeah. So Monasterio, Siegler, Durbin. We got Gage Zeal and Jose Bayo. Is that it? Miss anybody? That's pretty much it, right? And
then what's Jordan Hicks' 8-point-something ERA?
Oh yes. Well, not just
Justin,
that. $8 million just to pay him to leave the team as well. So we had to pay that. And then yes, his 8.2 ERA on top of his and then Dustin May's 5.4 ERA across his 4 or 5 starts or whatever it was. Yeah, not good.
And lost Alex Bregman. This is the totality of the Rafael Devers trade as we know it today. And that's the point of not doing, let's not talk about trades in vacuum. Let's take the 5,000-foot view back. Let's have a strategic conversation and say, yeah, we traded Rafael Devers for Caleb Durbin, a bunch of minor league fodder, Jordan Hicks as a net negative, Dustin May as a net negative, who we had to get rid of David Sandlin to get Jordan Hicks off the team. 8-point-something ERA and May with a 5-point-something ERA. Terrible. And so that's why, like, when people are celebrating this trade today and the Hicks trade, and I get it. Because, like I said, in a vacuum, this is a good trade outside the rest of the team. In a vacuum, the Jordan Hicks was a good trade inside of it. But all this shit didn't need to happen. It shouldn't have even happened. We shouldn't even be here today having this conversation. And again, the biggest head scratcher for me that I said literally, so let me actually do it. So the one that actually bothers me is the Patrick Sandoval one, because that's the one where I'd sit there and go, did you even have a plan, Craig, did you even have a plan? Like, what the hell? Where does he factor into any of this when we have like 15 pitchers now? Most guys come into a season or an organization, and this is outside of sports in general. Most people would go into a corporation, let's call it a corporation, with a plan of what success is going to look like. And that includes personnel, marketing, how we're going to maximize our ROI, our market share, etc. There is no way Craig had any of that going on right now. There is absolutely no way when you've got like 15 pitchers and 45 catchers. I just think he's like, yep, I'll take it. I'll figure it out later. And that's where we are today. But I posted today, $12.8 million for Sandoval, $20 million that we're paying this year for Sonny Gray,
21, I think,
20,
around there.
20 IKF, which we'll get to, another $6 million. I mean, I think we hit $38 million. We're $4 million away from just having Bo Bichette. Because Bo Bichette got $42 million. It's a 1-year deal because he has an opt-out. He's going to opt out after this year. So we could give him the same contract. We could have taken, and we didn't need Sonny Gray because we have 15 pitchers. We would have found guys that made it work. We don't need IKF. We'll get into that one. We don't need to do those moves. And that's where not having a plan F's you, right? That's where you go outside of a vacuum. This is where it F's you because a really smart GM or vice president of baseball operations is got a plan, has a vision, and can see 3 years in the future and can execute on it. Craig and his no chin can't do it. That's my frustration.
No, I am very frustrated with Craig as well for similar sentiment. But the main thing for me is like, I don't know if you saw this quote today, but he basically said like, we feel like we've got internal like options that will develop in the power department. And so we feel good about that. But let me read you 3 quotes from Craig Breslow from October 6th. He said, quote, I think it would be fair to look at some of those other teams that are still playing and say that they hit the ball in the park a little bit or out of the park a little bit more than we do. In the postseason, a lot of runs come via the home run because the pitching is so dominant. I think that's a consideration. Then on November 10th, I think someone that is a threat who can hit in the middle of the order and lengthen our lineup is going to be something that we're going to pursue. Then on December 8th, I think that the true middle of the order bat that can hit the ball out of the park has probably an outsized impact on the rest of the lineup because of the way you have to attack someone and the on-base implications it can have. And so, again, we're going to consider all ways of improving the team, but finding someone in the middle of the order and who can hit the ball out of the park is a really good place to start. You just can't say all those things. 4 months, 1 October, 1 November, 1 in December, and then sit here in February when you added nobody that helps you with that. I'm not going to accept the argument that Contreras is that guy. He's never hit 25 home runs in a season before, and he'll be 34 this year. You cannot say all those things and then sit here in February and be like, well, we really like the power options we have internally. If you like the power options you have internally, why did you say those things? Why did he say that stuff then? For months. He said it for months.
Why they say we're going to go full throttle before that? I mean, this organization has shown us they can just say whatever the hell they want to say, and no one's going to hold them accountable. They're not.
At least the full throttle thing was vague enough where like, who the hell knows what that was supposed to mean? I mean, I think we all had an idea, but like, this is extremely pointed. Like he verbatim basically said like, we will be adding power. That is our number one priority. And which says that they think they don't have it enough in-house. So to be that specific about what your needs are, like I think people were excited about that earlier in the offseason because they're like, finally, they're actually like being straightforward about what they're actually planning to do rather than keeping it vague, like full throttle or whatever. We're going to spend more or whatever that means. Like, so to then come here months later and you're basically like admitting that you were lying, or you're basically like lying to us now because I don't believe that he thinks that after those comments. After 3-4 separate times, he was extremely on the nose and specific about what the team wanted to add. So I just can't get behind him saying that sort of stuff and then sitting here with a straight face at the media stand saying that, oh yeah, like we actually think we have plenty of power in house. Like, no, you don't think that. No. And you also don't have it. So
nope. Well, they may, but that's a lot of gamble to be gambling on their season.
God, yeah.
We've talked about it. How many players on their team have ever hit 30 home runs? The answer is 1. Trevor Story a long time ago. That's it.
And he's not going to do it again. Last year was the best case scenario of what
25,
Trevor Story is going to be.
Yeah, he led the league, led the team with 25 home runs. They don't have the power on it. I'm actually a really old school guy. Where I grew up where I really believe that if you have amazing pitching, top tier pitching, my dad used to say, top tier pitching will beat good hitting every day. I still believe that to a certain extent. But you still need to have bats. You still got to score runs. And for those out there who try to argue about we're going to find another way to win, God, it drove me nuts today. How did the Blue Jays almost win the World Series? How did the Yankees beat the Red Sox and get there? And how did the Dodgers win the World Series? They all hit home runs. It's all the long ball, 100%. When he got up there and the 9th inning was off Hoffman, was it Rojas? This was my rant. Mm-hmm. Rojas hits that game-winning home run. Game-winning home run. Bichette, home run. I'm sorry, that's just how you win games. It's not the way that it used to be. I miss the old type of baseball as much as everyone else, but the truth be told, these teams are winning championships or going far in the playoffs because they can hit home runs. Yes, they can do other things. They pitch well, they hit well, but they don't just pitch and hit well, they hit home runs. And we don't have it, as of right now, on this team, someone that's proven to do it. Could Roman Anthony do it? Sure. Could Marcelo Meyer do it? I guess. But that's a lot to ask for two guys who haven't done it before. And frankly, the comparisons to Corey Seager for Marcelo Meyer, which I'll be enthusiastic if it happens, the guy's got to hit left-handed pitching first, and he can't do that. And the guy's got to stay healthy, and he hasn't done that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I will say this, like, it's not like there's zero blueprint for teams that like go on deep runs or win the World Series and don't have a ton of power. Like, I think back to the 2013 team that won it. They had one single player that hit 25 homers that year and only two that hit 20 homers. So, a little bit similar. Not a super big power hitting team, but the difference is that team had some just real professional hitters and they didn't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play. They got on base a ton. Just looking at, I just pulled that team up. Like Ortiz, only 88 strikeouts that year. Dorino, only 75 strikeouts that year. Ellsbury, only 92 strikeouts that year. Pedroia, only 75 strikeouts that year. So those guys are putting the ball in play, not even to mention Ortiz, 309 average. Dorino, 294 average. Ellsbury, 298 average. Pedroia, 301 average. Like, they were a team that was not striking out, was constantly on base, and that's how they were able to score runs. There's other teams that have done it, like the Royals when they won. I don't believe they had a 25 home run guy on that team either, but it was the same thing. A lot of really good contact guys who would get hits and hit the ball and play in big moments. And like, that's the other thing. I don't trust this team to do that either, because we do have a lot of strikeout guys. We do have a lot of guys that are kind of feast or famine at the plate. And so you can't have both of those issues. We've talked about it with the Yankees where they have that issue, but they hit the ball out of the park. But even with that, they have those inconsistencies where we've got a lot of guys that also struggle to make contact consistently, but then we also don't have home runs. So it's like, it's just going to be really difficult to score runs when you're not putting the ball in play consistently and you're not hitting the ball over the fence. You have to check one of those boxes.
Yep. We call it a balanced lineup, Sean. We don't have one. Going back to the Harrison really quick, because the other part that worries me about Harrison and Drohan too. Drohan's actually, his numbers have been really good in the minors. Fastball velocity is lower on the 92 miles per hour, but we'll leave Drohan out of it. I say that now, famous last words. We're not going to talk about Drohan. He ends up becoming a Cy Young Award winner, but Harrison's still a year younger. He's a year younger than Durbin. And then if people don't remember, some people are trying to troll me in the comments today. He's a former top 20 Major League Baseball prospect. We watched last year with the Red Sox trade away Quinn Priester, who we could have used last year. And Quinn Priester went on to have a really good season with the Brewers. I feel like it's deja vu all over again. And we might see the same thing with Kyle Harrison. The Red Sox pitching lab, talked about last pod, does a really good job with pitchers that throw cutters, naturally throw the cutter sweeper. They love to tunnel the two. That's what they love to do. If you don't throw a cutter or sweeper, like we saw with Whitlock last year, sometimes they can hamper your development. Harrison does throw that cutter and a slider, and you think maybe they'd be able to figure him out. I'm just worried he goes to Milwaukee. Milwaukee turns him around, and he becomes that number one starter, ace, number two that he was projected to be. If that happens, I got a lot of gripes about this pitching lab. Let alone what Craig can do. I mean, do you see it, Sean? Like, do you think it's possible? I mean, anything's possible, but like, doesn't that Quinn Priester trade last year kind of nip at you?
For sure. And that was unfortunate because, to your point, we very much could have used him down the stretch of last season, and he would have started a postseason game for us for sure.
Maybe we wouldn't have traded Tibbs for May, for example.
Yeah, it's possible.
Right?
But I'll be honest, I'm not really going to lose sleep over Harrison in this scenario, even if he ends up panning out, just because like we can't sit here all offseason and beg them to trade from the surplus and then be disappointed when they trade from the surplus. You know what I mean? So like,
that's fair.
If he ends up being a top 2 starter, like sure, that would be like unfortunate just because we had him, but who's to say that would have happened if he stayed here? It's no guarantee that we could have unlocked him in the same way that maybe the Brewers org can. But yeah, again, like I'm not going to play both sides here. Like if you had asked me which pitcher from the surplus should we try to trade for the next bat, I would have said Harrison. Like that would have been my first option because like I said, I don't think Sandoval is netting you anything super valuable, especially with that salary. And then I don't want to trade Toglia early unless it's for like a legit piece like a Ketel Marte. I would have been very disappointed if it was one of them going out for Durbin, for example. So I hear what you're saying, but I'm kind of like, it is what it is. Like we were going to have to trade one of these guys eventually anyway. And Harrison was probably the least blood on our hands.
Fair point, but you know what? You hit on it. I want to jump to it. The other rumors that came out today was the Diamondbacks were willing to deal Ketel Marte. And me and you have been saying it, like, don't believe the hype. He's still on the trade market. I've watched this movie a bazillion times. Just because they say he's off the trade market doesn't mean he's not on the trade market. He's 100% still there. That is lip service and PR. Anyways, they came back and said, we'll do either the Red Sox proposed Atoli or Conley Early and Franklin Arias. They said, no, we want Marcelo Meyer and Conley Early or Atoli. Would you have done that trade? Would you have done Meyer and Early?
I think if you had asked me, in December, I would have said no, but I think now I might say yes, just because knowing that we struck out on every other big name, like we've talked about this, like falling in love with prospects. I know Marcelo's in the majors at this point, but he's got less than 50 games under his belt. So he's still essentially a prospect till we at least see what he can do for a full season next year. So I don't know. I just feel like it's really hard to say no to having a guy like Marte on your team for the next 4 years when we're going for it and we're win now. And like, sure, if Marcelo turns into Seager, we'll be pissed. But Marte is like as good as Seager, maybe like at least in the same realm. So we're essentially trading one player for them, the same player, but at least one was more of a sure thing and we didn't have to worry about it. I know he's obviously way older. That plays into the cost and whatnot. Plus, that's not even mentioning the pitcher, but I'm kind of not really addressing the pitching side of this because I think it's just a fact we were going to have to give up one of those guys regardless. So this is more of a Marcelo discussion, in my opinion. But I think now I would do it. Like if that was still on the table, I think I would do it just because I don't know. They just need.
No, I agree.
They need that kind of bat. And I love Marcelo and his potential, but he hasn't played 100 games in a season at any professional level yet.
Hurt all over wrist, back. Feet, whatever it is, everything. He's not played a full season, and he can't hit lefties yet. I mean, I don't care if that's the other part, too. He hasn't been able to hit lefties. He cannot be your career third or second baseman.
If he's a platoon player, it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
And you could have had Ketel Marte, and I get it, Early or totally could be a star, but if Marcelo ends up just being Romy 2.0 or a really good platoon player, then you make that trade all the time. There were so many... It's been a lot, like, I'm trying to think of trades where prospects actually got their value back. The Soto deal with CJ Abrams and them, you can make, and James Wood, that's a great example. Like, maybe you got it back. You got it back in aggregate.
They got Gore also in that, so.
Yeah, I mean, you got it back in aggregate. I mean, none of those players are as good as Soto individually, but in aggregate, it's a good trade, right? Other than that one, you go back to the Sale trade, the Chris Sale trade and Moncado. You go back to right now, the Garrett Crochet deal. You go back to I'll go back way back in time, Ken Griffey Jr. deal. It's been a long time where I've seen top tier prospects go for a top tier player, and it's actually worked out. The biggest mistake in Red Sox history goes back to the Lou Gorman days when they traded Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell. A little bit before your time. When that trade happened, it was a little bit before my time. I grew up in the Bagwell days, but that's about there's not that much where it happens.
Wasn't there an old Mariners Sox trade where Sox got Veritek?
I remember that.
Low? Yeah.
So Heathcliff Slocum was the closing pitcher for the Red Sox, and he was atrocious. What a great name, by the way, Heathcliff Slocum. He was awful, absolutely awful as a relief pitcher. The Red Sox weren't very good. And they traded Slocum for Derek Lowe and Jason Veritek. And I remember when that happened, and I was just happy. I'm like, well, maybe these guys will be any good, but it's better than having Heathcliff Slocum on the team. I remember, and then later, maybe a year or two later, Slocum blew like 5 games against the Red Sox too. He was an awful, awful closer. But yeah, that's what happened. But again, that's an interesting one because we got prospects back that weren't supposed to be that great. And we also didn't give off. Slocum was not a top tier player anyways. I'm talking about
I know what you're saying.
Go
I
ahead.
have one more, which I just for the record, you just got my brain going on thinking of ones like these. For the record, I agree with you that the majority of the time, like 80% of the prospects bust. But I did just think of another fun one while we're on the topic. But also, this was a win-win because the Sox get Beckett and Lowell for Hanley Ramirez, and Anibal
right.
Sanchez was in that deal too. So those two obviously panned out to have really, really good careers. But I mean, if you're the Sox, I don't think you regret that deal at all because obviously you got a World Series out of those guys.
And Lowell was, if you remember, how old were you when that trade happened?
Ooh, like 10.
Do you remember? So Lowell was a throw-in.
I remember Lowell though. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because he was like a distressed asset, right? But then
Correct.
I mean, he was
had
great
good
with the
years.
Sox.
No, he had some good years. He had some injuries. Was not the same player. I think he had a knee injury, whatever it was not the same player. And believe it or not, I think Lowell again was a Yankee prospect originally.
Yeah, I'm looking at his reference page. His first season was with the Yankees.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So he was a Yankee prospect originally. They got him as a throw-in in that deal, and yeah, he was a big part of those Red Sox teams. It happens, but if you're gonna roll the bones on this one, roll the dice on it, you give up the prospects for the sure bet. 99.9%. Sure, a guy like Roman Anthony, I think they saw them. Bryce Harper, when they're coming up, these generational talents, you could spot them a miles away. Guys with holes in their game, like Marcelo Meyer, you say, go ahead. I'll take a Ketel Marte, who I know is going to be a top-tier player, for a guy that maybe you can, because what's Meyer's upside? Maybe he's Ketel Marte?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His best case is like he turns into Ketel Marte.
But not even switching pitcher.
Yeah. Well, the counter argument is that he's younger, and we would have 4 years of Marte versus maybe 8 to 10 of Meyer. But like, whatever. I get what you're saying. I want to ask you: can you guess how many at bats Meyer had against left-handed pitchers in the major leagues last year?
Well, they benched him in games, so it's gonna be very, very low. Again, I'm gonna put it at 10. I'm not
26.
looking. Am I right?
26.
No, I remember.
Guess how many hits out of 26 that he had?
2.
4. Still bad. 54 average.
No, he was terrible.
416 OPS. Of course, minuscule sample size, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's very clear they did not trust him in those scenarios. Which I'll say this, if they're leaning into Meyer, and he's based on the current lineup construction, he's very important. They need him to perform this season. And so I'm in the camp where just let him play against lefties. I don't want, if they do this platoon bullshit with him,
they'll never develop him.
Exactly. He's never going to learn to hit lefties because he's only going to face them every once a week or something like that. And it's going to be for 1 or 2 at bats, and he's just not going to get enough reps. And then you're just going to basically stunt his development in that front. And then it's if he's a platoon player, like we said, it's a disaster. He was a top 10 prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
I don't care how well he hits righties. Yeah, I don't care how well he hits righties. If he doesn't play against lefties or can't hit lefties, then, he's just not going to be – he's a bust at that point, if we're putting it frank.
Yeah, I agree. So I got to stand up for this one. I'm going to stand up on this one because camera should be tracking me. Let's see how it looks. Come on, camera. You should be tracking me up here. Do one of these. You want to know why I'm standing up? Because I might fall over on the next conversation. Sean, we got 10 minutes left. You can take all 10 minutes if you want to take all 10 minutes. Can you explain what the hell we did with IKF? What? Can you just give me and explain what the hell that move was? And I think that's the epitome of the fact that Craig has no idea what the hell he's doing, having no plan. I mean, he shouldn't even be on the team. You look at those numbers, I'm trying to extrapolate where I even see him playing and what he does. Right? He's terrible, right? Lefty, you want him to play defense. I mean, where is he going to play? I would take Eaton over him 10 days out of 9. So
Sogard as well.
So give me some type of reasoning of why we have IKF.
I cannot tell you, especially for $6 million. That's the worst part. If he's getting some $1 million, whatever, non-guaranteed minor league deal, sure, whatever, inconsequential. This is the exact kind of thing you were talking about. Who the hell was going to pay him $6 million? There's just no way another team was going to pay him that much. I mean, the guy played 138 games last year and had 2 home runs, 40 RBIs. His OPS was 631. I believe his FWAR was 0.7, which is impossible when you play that many games for a guy who's actually a plus fielder too. So, I mean, the bat is not even a 0. It's a negative. I mean, he can't hit at all. I mean, of course, he's not some massive strikeout guy or anything like that, but like the power is completely non-existent. He's not going to hit 290, 300 in some random season. Like he's in his 30s already. To your point, it's like we already have a shit ton of utility infielders. I know we just traded Hamilton, but like to your point, Eaton, Nick Sogard, like if we're platooning Romy and Marcelo, we had Durbin, and we just traded for 2 other utility infielders in this Durbin deal. It's like, how many of these guys do we need? And it's like having this conglomerate of a bunch of different utility infielder guys is not going to make up for the fact that we don't have any like surefire infielders that we've been begging the team to add. And so I don't know. I cannot tell you, because when I saw this too, I was also like, why the hell are we signing him? And then I saw the dollar amount and I was even more confused and disappointed.
I mean, I think he's got a lower OPS than someone like Duran against lefties. Like he is that bad. And the argument I made,
I mean, his OPS overall last year was 631. So it can't be that good against righties or lefties.
What was his lefties? Do you have his OPS? So Duran's 666, somewhere around there, 660 something. I think his is either like 630 or 590. One of them is 590. One of them is 630.
His lefties last year was 536.
And so he's getting the same amount of money that Ref Snyder's getting, who's lefty killer. He had a 9-something OPS last year. And for those arguing, say, well, it doesn't make the roster construction. Doesn't make sense. They have enough outfielders. To your point, they've got enough utility infielders. So like 6 to 1, half dozen the other. If you're going to sit there and spend the money and find somebody and be able to have somebody on your roster, at least have a pinch hitting bat that can hit lefties, you never should ever see IKF ever in a lineup. The Red Sox basically said, okay, we've got 2 David Hamiltons. We got to get rid of one of them. And that's what they did because I don't know what happened. I feel like Craig had to be drinking. I wish we could call Craig right now and ask him, Craig, when you made that deal, just tell us, how much alcohol did you have? How many beers? How many shots deep were you? Because did you forget to carry the 1 or something? Forget the $6 million. Like, why is he even on the team? Red Sox fans are going to rue the day when IKF gets in the goddamn lineup. There's days back in the day with Cora, or I forgot who the manager was, I forgot who the player was. They'd put a player into the lineup like, oh God, Pedro's pitching. Why the hell do we have bum 2 in? That's gonna be IKF.
If he plays 138 games for the Sox next year, like he did last year, that is a terrible sign. Like if this guy, if he's playing that regularly, it means something went terribly, terribly wrong. Either there are injuries or guys are underperforming at a level that is like beyond what we could have even comprehended before the season started. Like again, like even with the 138, like I mentioned, not even one F WAR in that span. And it's like, so for him to even hit 1 WAR, he's got to play 140, 150 games. And I'm like, that is the last thing I want. That would be terrible for this team if he's playing that much. Like, and let me just read you some of his like baseball savant page. 1st percentile expected slugging, 1st percentile average exit velocity, 2nd percentile barrel rate, 5th percentile hard hit rate, 7th percentile sweet spot rate, 2nd percentile bat speed, 2nd percentile walk rate. Like the only thing he does decently well is not strike out all the time and chase. Everything else, he doesn't walk. He can't hit the ball out of the park. He cannot hit the ball hard in any capacity. I mean, he is such a negative as a hitter that I just like, again, we've been talking about this, like for the right team, he could be a great fit. Like the Blue Jays, they had him last year. I'm like, they have a guy at each spot in the infield that they feel good about. If he's your one utility guy that can play 3 different spots, sure. But we've got uncertainties and we already have like 3 other utility infielders. So it's just a waste of resources to pay this guy $6 million. And it just makes absolutely no sense. To your point on Sandoval, to pay $17 million to those 2 guys, on top of now we've got $8 million towards Jordan Hicks's contract. That's $25 million on 3 guys that the team just doesn't need or doesn't have.
Craig doesn't have a plan. Sean, to wrap this up, let's role play. I'm going to be Craig Breslow and you're going to be IKF. Ready? So I'm calling you right now. Answer the phone. Answer it.
Hello.
Hey, IKF. This is Craig Breslow. We're going to go ahead and give you $6 million this year Would you accept that?
Yes, please.
You're like, holy shit! What'd you just say? $6 million, Craig? How much you been drinking
Look, I'm
right
like, this idiot's giving me $6 million.
now? $6 million.
No,
Did you
no,
say
no. I'm sorry. I'm good. Yeah, let's do 6. That sounds good to me.
U.S. dollars? We're talking about U.S. dollars here, right? $6 million U.S. dollars. I'm sure IKF was like, holy hell! I hope he gave his agent like 30% of that money. Whatever, however he got $6 million out of Craig, that agent, whatever he did, whatever PowerPoint presentation he gave, or whatever alcohol
God.
he gave Craig to get him to give him $6 million, that guy deserves. I mean, if I'm a baseball player, I'm firing Scott Boras and I'm hiring IKF's agent today, because whatever he did to get that $6 million, $6 million is crazy. What did Ozuna get? 12?
Yeah, I think
11?
12, something like that.
Ref
I mean,
got 6. Ref got screwed.
I know. The only thing I can remotely like think of that was going through Craig's brain was like he basically had the deal lined up with Hamilton, so he like knew Hamilton was going to be off the team. But even then, I don't think we need either of them. We don't need either of them. We don't
can't steal bases. You don't want to use fast. What the hell you have to do?
Yeah, we don't need either of them on the team. We have enough. Like the quantity of infielders is not the problem. It is the quality of the infielders that has been the issue, and what we've been complaining about. We got a million guys that we can play. It's just that none of them are good, and so they just added another bad one.
Sogard and Eaton are better. Like people are trying to argue, like, well,
they are
look at
better.
the roster.
Eaton,
like look at the
Eaton is like a great pinch hitter, great base runner. Sogard, great contact guy, can play multiple positions and like had some big moments for the team last year. Like, and then obviously Marcelo can play 3 spots. Romy can play 2 spots. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And now Durbin can play multiple spots. Like, they have probably 4 guys that can play third, 4 guys that can play second, 4 guys that can play short. It's like they don't need that many players that can play that many positions.
Yeah.
Like,
so my problem with anyone saying that the Red Sox won't go over the CBT, that's fine. I know they won't go over it, but then don't sign Sonny Gray and give him $21 million when you don't really needed him either. And he's nice to have, and don't give Sandoval 12.5, and don't give IKF $6 million. If you don't want to go over the threshold, don't waste money on these players and then tell me you're broke, because you just like pissed a hole in your pocket and bought a whole bunch of shit off Temu, but you paid U.S. prices for it. I don't understand it. That's $38 million for the 3 of them that could have been used somewhere else. $38 million.
Well,
it all goes being the worst.
It all goes back to what we've said of like, if they were willing to spend like whatever, then who cares? I don't care if they spent $6 million on IKF. Doesn't matter. Dodgers signed IKF for
I do. You know what?
For $12 million. Who cares?
It's not the $6 million. I don't want him on the roster. I've had enough negatives on this roster.
I get it. I'm more just saying that like, if the Dodgers signed him for $20 million, we'd be like, what? But like, they wouldn't care. You think a fan's going to care at all that they give him that much? Like, it doesn't matter at all. But because the way they've operated and just the like lack of willingness to actually dive deep into the wallet, it's like that $6 million matters. And it's like the margin for error on every contract that we sign is so tiny when they're not willing to actually go out and spend big. So that's what's frustrating, is it's all leading back to the money things.
All right, Sean, we got to wrap it up. I drink my beer real fast. I don't know about you, but mine was done halfway through. I might get 2 beers moving forward. Then you might tell me I have a problem.
I would never say that to you.
I'm 5'7", Sean. I'm a little guy. I might be Big John, but I'm a little guy. I like to drink so many beers. Guys, thanks for listening to us. Sean, by the way, we are having a very big growing audience in Canada. I have no idea why, but the Canadians like us, eh? So that's something to be celebrating of. We are one of the fastest growing podcasts in Red Sox Nation. We really are. It's actually amazing how fast we are getting hits and likes and subscribes, etc. So thank you guys for listening to us. If you liked our podcast, wherever you're listening to it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you like it. Sean, any last words before we let these people go tonight?
No, thanks for everyone tuning in, and just excited for spring training to kick off, and we can talk a little bit less about transactions and about what the team actually has. So
yeah, well, those would be interesting conversations, because every year there's some, like, we used to call them gym heroes when we were younger, or the guys that went all out in gym but weren't very good. We'll have some spring training heroes. We'll have the conversation. We should start giving awards for spring training heroes. I forgot who the guy was last year. Who was the guy last year that hit like 7 home runs in a row? He never made the team. He
Oh,
went down to the minors, and he
I
played for
forget
the
his
Giants
name. I
prior.
know who you're talking about, though. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
remember his name.
Spring,
but no, it is
spring
fun.
training
But
heroes.
can be it can be deceiving sometimes, though. Like when Jackie Bradley Jr. tore it up, and then they were like, "Oh, you're the starting left fielder," and then he batted 150 for a month, and then they're like, "Oh, never mind," and sent him back down
Yeah.
immediately.
You're gone. All right,
Christian
that
Campbell
wraps
last
it
year
up.
too.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. Yeah, true. All right, that wraps it up, guys. Thank you again for listening to 64 Deep, a Red Sox podcast. I am your co-host, Big John. Alongside of me tonight is Sean O'Mac Jones. We'll see you next week.